So please welcome to the Going Road Club, Mr. Phil Wang.
Hi Phil, thanks for having me.
I'm a big fan, mate.
Oh, thanks. Likewise. It's such a pleasure to have met you, because I met you handing you an award.
You did, yeah.
Which I think is how the best relationships start.
I agree.
I
think we should.
I mean, it's all downhill from there. It's not going to get quite as fabulous as
I was going to say every time we meet, we should do that.
Yeah. Well, you still haven't handed me
an
award.
You did hand me this today.
Yeah. All I do is give you stuff.
That's very true, actually. Damn, yeah. But yeah, no. But on that day, it was like I found out that you were, comparing the awards or whatever, or hosting the awards, and I was like, oh my God, I'm such a big fan. And then when I got up on stage and you handed me the award and you were like, I'm such a big fan of Boiling Point.
Yeah, I love Boiling Point.
I was like, what? Oh my God. And then we had a chat afterwards. Amazing.
Yeah, I was obsessed with Boiling Point. And then when you guys won, I was like, yeah, I got to tell them I love Boiling Point. Because a lot of the others, I would just go, congratulations. Yeah. Never seen it. No idea what I'm talking about. But no, yeah, Boiling Point I really, really love. So yeah, I was real chuffed for you to hear you say that you know my stuff.
Yeah, big fan. I mean,
it's also nice to meet another Phil.
Yes, of course, yeah.
I feel like Phil is one of these names that is sort of spoken about as a common name, like Bob.
Yeah.
But it isn't.
No.
There are not many Phils, actually.
And you spell your name with one L.
One L.
Me too. And
you too?
Yeah.
Or you as
no,
well?
me as well. Yeah. But often it gets. Do you find it really annoying when people spell your name wrong? With two L's?
They seem to always assume it's two L's.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess Philip with one L looks a bit like Philip. Maybe that's what
true.
They're worried about.
Yeah.
It's a tough life, but someone has to carry this cross.
That's very true. Very true. But listen, thanks for coming on, and I just want to have a chat, really. You know what I mean? I'm just so interested to know. I know you studied engineering at Cambridge.
Yes. Yeah.
So how? I mean, because engineering is such a big, broad thing. What is it that you wanted to do when you went to Cambridge, and then how did you make that transition from being that to a comedian
to a national treasure?
Yes, exactly.
My father was an engineer, and I was good at maths and science and all this sort of thing, and I thought, I'd like to be an engineer. That makes sense. And at Cambridge, you do first 2 years, you study everything. So you do all the different types of engineering,
right.
Electrical, mechanical, structural, computer, everything. And then I specialize in like mechanical and aerodynamics and something called control engineering, which is about sort of changing states in systems and holding states. Wow. It's like a thermostat is a control system.
Right.
And so that kept me at Cambridge for 4 years. But just as I was sort of applying to uni, I sort of discovered stand-up and became obsessed with stand-up. And the choice of Cambridge doubled up as a comedy choice because it's got a great comedy tradition there with the Footlights. And when I got there, it also turned out like loads of different colleges had their own comedy night. And so you could do a sort of weekly circuit of gigs in sort of different student unions and bars and little theatres and stuff. And I started my own comedy night in my college, and so I just got to practice comedy so much. And with the Footlights, every 2 weeks I had a show with open auditions where you just had to do 3 minutes of new material, and so you're always writing, always improving, and you're surrounded by very funny, very clever people, so they're always keeping you on your toes. And then in my second year, I joined. Well, I heard about this competition, the Chortle Student Comedian Competition. And it was a competition across the country. If you're at university or in higher education of any kind, you could join this competition to find the funniest student. And I tried it. I had a go, and I did well. I got through the heat. Then I got through the semi-final. Then I got to the final, and I won the final. And so that was my second year. And then in the next year, Comedy Central had a student competition as well. And so I joined that, and I won that as well. So for 2 years running, I was the funniest student in the UK. And I always like to say, I always tell people now, if you thought you and your friends were funny, at university between the years of 2010 and 2011. I'm afraid it did desperately wrong because, unbeknownst to you, at the other end of the country was the true king.
And I have the certificates to prove it.
I do. I have 2 crappy little trophies to show. For 2 years straight, I was the best company you could possibly hope for.
Oh my God, I love
in
that.
university.
It's interesting, like, how that came. I mean, I presume, how did it come about? Like, the comedy was so, profound in that university in Cambridge. Like, because obviously it's not, because you're studying engineering. It just doesn't.
I know. Yeah,
You know
people
what I
are
mean?
always surprised to hear I studied engineering. But I think sort of scientific people can have quite a direct sense of humor, and I found that I needed comedy and engineering to sort of balance each other out.
Right.
I saw people who studied like English and then also did theatre and comedy.
Yeah.
It sounds awful because you're just drowning in words all the time.
Yeah, true.
It was nice to take a break from comedy with numbers and just have absolute answers and objective truths. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm doing something that is more subjective.
Yeah.
Really like. But then both comedy and engineering, they share a lot of the same principles. Engineering is about structure and patterns and experimentation, and comedy is about the structure of a joke, noticing patterns in life, and experimenting with ideas and tweaking them and improving them and optimizing them. And that's what engineering sort of is about again as well, because it's all about logic as well. Comedy is about logic, engineering is about logic.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And when growing up, you said your father was an engineer. Were you funny at home? Was it like?
I was quite funny. Yeah, I was funny. I was a funny kid. I wanted to be a clown. First thing I ever wanted to be in my life was a clown.
Yeah. And
then I went to Chinese school, and that sort of beat the joy out of me. Right. And so I kind of lost that, and I found science and maths. And then I went to boarding school when I was 16 in Borneo. I lived there as well. My parents didn't send me from the UK to Borneo. We lived there, and there was a boarding school nearby, and YouTube had just started, and people started sharing this clip of a stand-up comedian called Russell Peters, who's an Indian-Canadian comic. Right. And he's doing stuff about different races, different cultures. And because we were in international school, we were like, wow, this is amazing. This is about all of us. And I remember watching this and thinking, this is insane. This is so good. Yeah. What an amazing thing to do. To just get up there. You don't have anything else. You just get up there and you just, with the power of your mind, you're getting this response out of people, right? And so I just kind of became a bit obsessed with that. Then moved to the UK, and the drama teacher at school, I didn't do drama, but he put on a comedy night, and he said 5-minute open spots available to students. And I went over and I said, is there still space for the comedy show? And he said, yeah, I think I got a couple of seats left. And I said, no, to do a spot. And he was like, really? Because I wasn't funny then. I was very studious. And he thought, oh, this guy's going to eat it. I'm sending this kid to his death. Yeah. But I was like, all right. And then I went up and did 5 minutes of material, at least half of which was taken from Russell Peters, and I just swapped out the word Indian with Chinese. And it kind of worked. And it went really well. I mean, it wasn't my material technically, but I had the stage presence, I had the delivery. And then a few months later, the teacher put on another comedy show, but in the big assembly hall. So it's the big gig. And I asked if I could do it again. And I wrote a special set that was like completely original, about the students, about the teachers, about life at the school. And that was great. And it's the only time I ever performed that set, the only time I could. It's still the best gig of my life. If only everyone else in the world knew the reference points, I'd wheel it out again. Yeah.
How long was that? How long was that show?
I did maybe 10 minutes, which is quite long.
Yeah.
For when you're starting out, but I think I must have done about 10 minutes. Yeah. And then between that, I did a gig in town, my first sort of actual like adults gig, as an open spot, and I did all right, but I forgot to write an end, so I just kind of went, okay, I've run out now. I just did and people were very nice because I was 17 or whatever. Yeah. And I just walked off, and I made a mental note, decide what the last thing you're going to say is, because it's weird if you just walk off.
So do you have like, obviously you're learning on every job, I'd imagine, on every show that you, like for example, make sure you put an end in next time, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You still sort of learning now. I want to go back. I want to go back to the Footlights thing because that interests me as well. Because you became the president of that, right?
Yeah, president in 2011 to 2012.
Yeah.
I hung up my title as funniest student.
Yeah.
And then to take on the responsibility of being president.
Being president.
Has to be done.
And what does that entail? Like what do you still in Cambridge at this point?
Yeah. I was doing my master's, doing my final year. And it mainly entails just you get the president's email address and you just have to respond to a lot of emails mainly.
Right.
You don't really get you don't get any powers.
Right.
You don't get a sash. You don't get any jewels. Nothing. You just have to reply to emails.
Right. And who the email? What? So is it putting on shows and stuff like that? Is that what it is?
Yeah, there's a lot of admin, like organizing when auditions for things are, and deciding with the rest of the committee which shows are going to take up the big slots of the year. And then just organizing, little get-togethers, the annual dinner or whatever.
Nice.
It's very administrative. It's kind of thing like if I was given that job now, I think I wouldn't be good. I'd be like, I don't know, I can't be more. But during those years, you're like, I'll do it. I'll do anything. I'll do all.
Yeah.
I wish I had the chutzpah again, the spunk.
Yes. And if you're following in some amazing footsteps.
So Footlights, it's been going on for a long time, but it sort of, I suppose its sort of glory age was when Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie, and Emma Thompson were in the same show called The Sellotapes. And they went up to Edinburgh Fringe and they won the main award as a student group, which is pretty wild. Ever since then, people like David Mitchell, Robert Webb, Richard Ayoade, Simon Bird, Johnny Sweet, Tim Key, Alexander Armstrong and Miller. I think they're also. So I think it became a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy in that people who were good at comedy and interested in comedy decided they wanted to go to Cambridge to be part of the Footlights.
Right. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's such a good training ground because you're doing so many regular shows. Cambridge has its own theatre, the Amateur Dramatics Club. So it has its own theatre it's all run by the students, and mainly for the students. And not many universities have that. So I owe Cambridge a lot, really. Yeah. I just got to practice so much. And so when I came out of uni, I'd already had a load of gigs under my belt, and I had this again, the spunk.
The spunk, yeah. And did you because I know, like for example, I know it's different, but for example, like RADA, places like that, they have the end of year showcase where agents come to watch, and casting directors and things like that, and a lot of them get picked up by agents in those things. Is that a similar thing for Footlights? Is that a similar thing for what happened to you? How did you get your sort of first foot in the professional door, if that makes sense?
Yeah, well, there isn't a showcase. It's because no one's course is Footlights, no one's course is comedy. It's just like a society, a club. I guess if you get onto the big tour show, you end up going to the Fringe, and then the industry comes to that, and that's part of the appeal of it for when you're starting out. But my main exposure was winning the Chortle student competition in 2010, because one of the judges emailed me, said, "I'm an agent. I think you're great. Let's have a chat." And she became my first agent, and I'm still with that. I'm not with her anymore, but I'm still with that same agency. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Since 2011, so it's been 12 years now.
Wow.
And all from that comedy competition.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And so even then, when you get signed with an agent, it's like, what do you still want to be an engineer? Well, what?
Yeah, but at that point I thought, okay, like this looks like this could be my life, my career, and I'd really like it to be. Engineering, it's something I had to finish. It's something I was still interested in. It felt a bit silly because within third and fourth year, it's pretty difficult. It's difficult. It's a difficult course.
Yeah,
it's. And especially as you get more and more focused on the subjects, it just gets absolutely wild. I still get panic dreams where I've got to do my control systems exam,
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I can't believe I passed.
Right.
I can't believe I got a decent grade because I was doing the exam going, I don't understand any of this.
Wow.
I still got through. I don't know how. But sort of as I was at university, comedy sort of took over from engineering, and I realized I was a lot more replaceable as an engineer than as a comedian. I thought, and I was better at this than at that.
What did your family think?
And they were open to it. I think they thought it was a bit out there. The main thing was they were happy I got my degree, a good degree, and they're always very accepting and very much, especially my mom, comes from the sort of the hippie age of like, you have to do what makes you feel happy,
Yeah.
And my dad just sort of went along with that, I guess. I don't know what his truth was, but it started to go reasonably well. And when I first got on to Have I Got News For You was when my mother finally stopped suggesting I do a business degree, just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fall back on.
Yeah. But they've always been very supportive. And I mean, I was just sort of bemused, I think. I remember calling my mother after I won that student competition going, Mum, I won. And she just went, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Thanks, Mum. And so what's been the highs and what's been the sort of lows of that from when you got your agent, let's say, to now where, you're on tour at the moment?
The highs are, I feel the highs and the lows are never what you think they're going to be.
No.
They come out of nowhere. They surprise you. The highs are things like traveling to Australia and New Zealand to do comedy festivals there, these places that you've never seen before, and meeting all these great new people. Or going out to Japan because a guy who's now a friend just messaged me out of the blue on Facebook and I didn't know who he was. And he said, I run some shows in Japan, you want to come? And I said, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
And I just, on a wing and a prayer, just flew out to Japan and just discovered this amazing country. Or, so it's, those are the highs. You always think it's going to be like sort of meeting famous people or people you looked up to, and it isn't. It isn't. It's the things that you experience for yourself. That's all cool and nice, but eventually you realize people are just people, and the highs are the things you get to see and the places you get to go and the shows you get to do. I mean, the true highs are when you just smash a gig and there's no cameras in there. No one will ever know. The only people who know are the people in this room. And for one night, you might be the funniest person in the world, maybe. And the next morning, it all resets again, and you got to try again. Those are the highs for me. The lows, is the loneliness of it, I guess. Especially when you're touring, it can be very lonely. I now tour with a tour manager and a support act, so it's much better. But my first couple of tours, when I had to scrimp and save, I just do everything myself. I'd book all my hotels and my trains. I drove myself there.
Right.
I'd turn up. I'd run through all the tech with the technician there. Hand them my laptop because it's all on there. And then by that point, you feel you've already done the job, but you've then got to do the whole show yourself. Half an hour, give them a break, and then come back for another hour. And it was just, and then you go home alone to a hotel room.
Yeah.
You have all this adulation. Yeah, thank you. Good night. I'm like, yeah. And then you just pack up and just walk to the.
Oh, God.
You walk to the B&B.
Yeah.
Lie down on your own. Yeah, and that can be the lows, I guess. There's just the contrast between being on stage and what comes afterwards when you're on the road.
Yeah. Do you get nervous?
I get nervous about some shows, some gigs. If it's a new theatre, new city, or a new venue, or if I'm doing new material. If there's something new, then I get nervous. Or if it looks like a tricky one. I was nervous the night we met. I was nervous about that because I had all these new jokes. Yeah. Trying to make fun of movies and cinemas, and everyone is in.
Yeah.
And you can go one way or another. You could end up being received like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, and like or you could just fucking ruin your whole career.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny because
never work in this town again.
Yeah. I went to another award show, and the compere there, or the guy who was running it, was also a comedian, but I don't think it was the right crowd for his sort of comedy, and so he fell flat on his face a little bit, and it was painful to watch.
Yeah. It's those shows are really tough because people aren't really there for you. That they're hoping, they're nervous. They're hoping they might win something. They're with people they work with. They're with people they need to impress. They're with people they can't embarrass themselves in front of, and
there's a lot of drink.
There's booze, and everyone's visible to each other because you're all spread out on these tables. And it's not comfortable because if you're facing away, you have to turn around, look at the host, and that's not a good position to laugh in. Your lungs are all twisted up. You can't. No one's laughing like that, right? So they're tough gigs. Those shows, and I used to find them really, really tough but now whenever I get one of those, because I used to try my material out. I used to just do my set and be like, this works in the club, this will be fine. And actually what's much better is you just put in a little extra time and you write jokes about the night, I ask for the list of the people in attendance.
That's great,
the list of who's up for awards or the companies or whatever, or the movies or and I just write jokes about all of them. Yeah. If you can. Because then even if it's not great, people are at least going, oh, he's really put in an effort to look up what we do and make jokes about us. This is unique, And I mean, usually it can be hard. I mean, if you're doing something like the refrigeration awards, it's quite hard to Electrolux, huh? What are they? But with movies, and famous people, and that was a lot of fun. Being able to write jokes about Emma Thompson and Stephen Graham, and Cineworld, and
of course, that was,
yeah, that's fun. And like Avatar, and I think I pissed off the Disney guy. Because I made jokes about Avatar, and someone from Disney won something and came up and he wouldn't look at me.
Well, it was the only I think because it was one of those awards. I've never been to one of those awards before where you just come and collect the award. No speeches. Yeah, which is better in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I think the Disney guy was the one person who said a speech.
Right. Yeah.
I think he was adamant he had to say something. That's me never working for Disney. What's been your favorite gig and your least favorite gig?
I mean, it's really hard to say. I've done at least 20 by now. I've done a whole bunch. My favorite, I mean, one I always think about is I did a set at the Sydney Opera House.
Wow!
As part of the Sydney Comedy Festival, and that was so cool because it's such a beautiful. It's this theatre that you're aware of your whole life, and it looks so funky, and it's so space-like, and then you actually turn up there and you're actually performing in this iconic venue. And not only that, it's a real marvel of engineering. The way it's built, it's hourly, audiologically. I don't know.
I'm saying yes. I have no idea.
Just the way the sound spreads across the room is really beautiful and warm. It's all this like lovely like wood, like sonorous wood, and the shape's really interesting. That was a really cool thing to get to do. And you're on the harbour and you go outside and it's just the waves of Sydney Harbour lapping up, and the Sydney Harbour Bridge is over there. That was really cool. But I've had lots of fabulous gigs, but that one always stands out to me. Worst, I mean, take your pick. I did one at an agricultural college when I was starting out. I can't remember what it's called, but it was infamous, this agricultural college, for being a tough gig. That was rough. That was bad.
Why did people like heckle and stuff like that, or is it just they just don't laugh?
They don't laugh. It's like they were just perplexed as to why you were there.
Oh, man.
It's weird. People come out their way, they go down, they sit down, a comedy show, and then just like, why are you doing this?
Yeah. Why are you here? Yeah. Oh man. So when you're sort of writing jokes, do you? Obviously, you think they're funny, but then
not always.
Well,
sometimes you're like, maybe this is funny.
Yeah.
There's from time to time you come up with an idea, and you go, that's definitely going to work, and it does, and you go, yeah, I get it now, and then you try it again, and it doesn't work, and you go, I still don't get it. I still don't get what people find funny.
Really?
Yeah, you never totally understand it. I think that's why it's addictive, right?
Yeah.
You never truly figure it out. You always think you figure it out. You get better at figuring it out, but you never can completely tell what's going to work.
And do you test the jokes on people? Like, do you like
in person?
Well, just like friends or whatever. Or
I used to. Then I learned don't do that because a lot of the time jokes work in part because of the context they're in. So it's because you're in this room talking to all these people in this dark room and you're lit up. and it's in context of the other things you said.
Yeah.
If you just go to a friend and go, hey, what do you think of this? Houseplants are weird. They're like pets, but they're green.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah. And you go, yeah, I'm not going to try it. I'm not going to try it.
Yeah.
And you don't know. Maybe the pets that are green joke is actually great when it works. I throw a bunch of other jokes in the room, And so no, I don't try it out in front of.
Do you do test?
people.
Because in film they do sometimes they do test screenings and then have people write down the comments and stuff like that.
Oh, that'd be good, like a focus group.
Yeah, exactly.
Just walk into a boardroom and just do some jokes. I love a representative cross section of society sitting in there. There's one old guy and a child.
Don't swear. Yeah,
that's the old guy.
Yeah.
There are new material nights, so they're nights where everyone knows people trying new stuff out, and comics go on with notebooks and you just try new bits out, and then you can go and if it gets nothing, you go, okay, well that didn't work, and people go, ha ha ha, and it's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
People are a lot more accepting of that than if they went to like a proper comedy night, professional night, when the ticket's like £20. You can't really go up there and go, that didn't work. And people are like, oh, come on, you should figure this out by now. Yeah. But there's specific new material nights to go and try stuff out. But for me now, when you're on tour, you're gigging doing all these shows, you write new material by slotting in new lines and seeing if they work, and they're sandwiched between all the bits you already know work.
And with that would that would change per city.
A little bit. I always have a chunk at the beginning of the show that is dedicated just to talking about the city and what's going on there, or that night in particular, or what's just happened, if there's some big news thing, and then go into the show. At the beginning of the show, I think it's always good to show everyone that you're in the room with them. You're not just going on a script. You're there, you're aware of where you are, you're a person in the same room as they are. You're not just going, here I am reading my lines, and then you finish. You have to show that you're in the room. And so I just do that at the beginning. But then throughout, I'm trying new lines here and there, see if different ideas work, try and improve and tweak.
And it always fascinates me with comedians when, like, I don't know, an audience member would shout something out or disrupt the flow, if that makes sense, and then they just back. It's just. I mean, it's.
Yeah, that takes a lot of practice.
I was gonna say, like, how does that? Because I'd crumble personally. I think. I think I would, or I'd be rude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the best advice is the very counterintuitive one, which is don't try and be funny. There's nothing worse. The cruelest thing about comedy is that there's nothing as unfunny as appearing to be trying to be funny. Yeah. And so you can't be like, hey, yeah, I'm an asshole. Well, at least assholes, they're not. You need assholes, because then how would you shit? So and people can see you're trying too hard. Yeah. If you don't have an idea, you just talk back at them, give them another question. Eventually, something will come up, and you can work on that. You don't have to desperately try and get a big laugh out of the first thing. Also, repeat what they've said. Right. So if they go, your trousers are shit, you have to go, my trousers are shit. Because for one, everyone needs to know what they've said. Yeah. So you have to repeat it on microphone so everyone knows what they said. Plus, you give yourself a couple of seconds to think about your response.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So those are the tips for dealing with people in the room. The other thing is to meditate. You have to be present and not get,
Yeah, fascinates me that.
The other thing is that almost always the rest of the room really hate them, and they're waiting for a reason to shut them up. So if you can imply that everyone else in the room hates them, people are like, yeah. Only once has that not worked. There was a bad gig. I can't remember where it was. Up north, Midland somewhere. Not very well sold, in this huge cavernous room with just like a few pockets of tables. And someone was being someone was just being disruptive. And I said, give me a chair if you think this guy should shut up. Nothing.
Oh, no.
And I honestly went, wow.
Did you just walk off stage?
I did it. Wow. I thought that was one of those gigs where you just do your time. And
Yeah. Oh man. How many gigs? What's the most you've ever done in a sort of run?
In a night.
I mean, yeah. Do you do like because I know like in plays and stuff like that they do.
Oh yeah. I mean, so some cities, if the venue's small and it sells well, do two. So like Bristol, I'm doing 2 shows, matinee and evening. But I mean, as far as sets go, it's as many as you can cram in a night. Back when I was gigging, like doing clubs in London, I think my most was 5 in one night, and this is starting at 7 or something, just pinging all the way around central London. You end up doing 5, and you finish at midnight, 1 o'clock, whatever. I've heard of 6. I don't know have I done 6. I don't think I've done 6.
Different you mean different venues?
Yeah, or maybe one venue you come back. Maybe they have an early show and late show. You do one there, and go across to Covent Garden, do one there, and then you go back to the first one, do the second show, and then you go do a third place after that or something. It was wild. Yeah. I can't do that now.
Well, you don't need to.
Yeah, there's that as well. But I think even if I needed to, I'd be like, well, I guess I'm going to die then.
And how did you sort of go from doing the stand-up stuff to then, doing the TV stuff and all that kind of?
I guess as you do more stand-up and you go to the Fringe and you become a known name, bookers, producers on TV shows, panel shows, they usually reserve a couple of spots per series for new people to come through and try out, and so they reach out to you and say, "Can you do this?" And you're going to do it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the path onto there. Then at the same time, if you want to do sort of scripted stuff, you try and work on that on the side and see if anyone salutes, as they say. Then there's Radio 4. There's all these. You just have to kind of become a name that people in the industry have heard about, so that when they're thinking of lineups, they go, Phil Wang, he's all right. He's got a good joke about pot plants. See if you want to do this. Yeah, and then you do them and you try to do your best. And then if people think you're dependable, then they bring you back.
So you don't need to like do a test or an audition for that?
Yeah, you do.
You do.
Sometimes, yeah. So I've done. Yeah, I think I did one when I was starting out. 8 Out 10 Cats. There's one called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff ages ago.
Right.
Gosh. And I think those are the only sort of tryout ones I do, but they do regularly do tryout shows just in a boardroom. Right. And those are intimidating because it's just like this basically. You have 2 tables, and then the host, or if the host is too famous, someone from the production team pretending to be the host.
No.
Yeah. We'll do chair and pretend that they're doing the show, and then you're on there with other comedians, and you're all pretending that this is a real TV show. I mean, the audience is just like 20 chairs have been set up, and it's just people from the office they've asked to come in and just sit and be nice and try and laugh at things.
Oh my God.
And so you're trying to do a show, trying to entertain those people, but also show off enough that you get booked onto the real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
and oh my God, that's mad. But do you like? Because I'm always fascinated by those shows of like, are they scripted? Like the jokes that are told, or like the quick banter between everyone. Are they sometimes set up, or is it like?
The banter's not set up.
And it's recorded. It's recorded live, right? As if it's live.
Yeah, it's recorded in the studio. Usually for a half-hour show, you can record from 2 to 3 hours. That's good. 2 hours is really good, actually. They can go to 3 hours. I mean, there are horror stories of going on longer than that, 4 or 5 hours to get half an hour out of it. So you're in there for a long time, and you get all kind of cramped, and everyone in the audience gets kind of cramped and agitated, and people need the loo, and people get thirsty and hungry, and it's unnatural, it's uncomfortable. I don't like doing them mainly because you have to be sat down, and it's very hard to be funny when you're sat down. I'm trying my best here, but it's because you're all compacted and your blood's not really flowing.
Yeah.
It's much easier to, that's why stand-up comedians, they walk around. It's much easier to think and pace. So when you sat down for hours on end, and you're trying to be funny desperately, it's tough.
Yeah.
I don't think they're ideal formats really. I have an idea for a panel show where the only difference from any others is everyone stood up. It's just standing.
I bet it'd work. That's the only difference. Exactly the same format.
Yeah, same show. Just stood up.
Yeah. What? So you talk about shows. Your Netflix show. Mm-hmm. Are you sort of on tour and then Netflix come and film that, or was that completely?
Oh no, that's just for that. Yeah. I'd known people. I'd known Netflix for a bit because I did a shorter set for them. Yeah. In a show called The Comedy Lineup, filmed in Atlanta. Right. And just 15 minutes, but they were selling them as these mini specials. So you Phil Wang and it's 15 minutes, and it's all newer acts and less known acts. And then after that they said, they came to see the live full show, and they said, "You want to do the full special hour?" And we were like, "Great, let's do it this May." And then COVID happened, and so it's like a year and a half before we could do it again. And the show had changed a lot, and I had changed a lot, and everyone changed a lot. And we still had to have people masked in the audience and half capacity at the London Palladium. So I was able to sell out the London Palladium twice on a technicality.
Yeah.
It was half full but sold out.
Yeah. When you say twice, so did you do it?
So you do two shows.
You do two shows.
And you mix them together. That's the standard really for a special.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So when I watch the special, I can tell when my hair's changed, because my hair is quite different between the two shows.
Right.
And I'm astonished other people aren't just going, "Your hair's changed."
Yeah.
I think maybe only I'm aware of that.
I need to watch that now and have a look. Have a look.
No, it'll drive you crazy. You'll drive you crazy.
Yeah. I'll be pausing it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you're on tour at the minute?
I'm on tour. UK and Ireland. I just did my first show ever in Ireland.
How did that go?
It was amazing. I was in Dublin, at Vicar Street in Dublin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 1,000 people there. It was sick. They were so nice and so up for it. And such good crack, as they say.
She was good crack, yes.
Yeah. And there's funny bit. Sometimes people shout something out and it is funny. Because there's a night of Eurovision. Right. And I said, "Thanks so much for coming, guys. I know you had a lot to contend with. I mean, Eurovision finals on tonight." And a girl just went, "Hurry up." So that was good. That's good. Because she wants to get to Eurovision, I get it.
So where have you been and where are you going? I
Um,
mean, you don't have to name every city.
No, you've asked the question.
Well, please name every city.
So I was just in Dublin and Belfast, and then this week I'm in Basingstoke.
Woo.
Gotta go to Basingstoke.
Yeah.
Gotta love Basingstoke. And London, South Bank, the Royal Festival Hall. And then Salford on Sunday. Your neck of the woods?
I will see you there.
Yeah. Yes, you'll be there.
I will be there.
Yeah.
Please don't heckle me.
People always say don't heckle me to the stand-up.
That's the wrong way,
Stand-ups
isn't
don't
it?
heckle. Yeah.
No, that's right. Yeah,
hecklers heckle.
Yeah.
Yeah, hecklers in the audience.
There is one comedian, the Scouser, I forgot his name now, but he literally, that is his whole thing, is taking the mickey out of the audience.
Yeah, I think I know the guy.
Yeah. I couldn't go to one of those shows. I'd be mortified.
The guy in Hot Water Comedy Club in
Yes,
Liverpool.
that's the one. That's the one, yeah.
I don't know. I've never liked, I mean, some people are very good at crowd work, but I've always just thought it's not really the point. It's not why I got into it. I got into stand-up because I'm a loner and I like sort of ideas and thoughts, and I don't like conversation. Yeah. So the idea of going to a show so that I can watch people have a conversation, what a waste. I don't want that. But at the same time, I wish I was better at it, because sometimes you have to, your hand is forced.
Yeah.
You have to have a conversation with someone. Yeah. But it's a real skill onto itself, comparing.
And some people love going to those shows and being.
Yeah. Well, especially now that there's so many crowd work clips on Instagram and TikTok. This is, and it's become huge. So many people are now watching stand-up as crowd work clips. And there's now going to be a whole generation of people going to comedy clubs thinking that's what it is. Yeah. And expecting like loads of crowd work at the gig, thinking that's what stand-up is. And a lot of the time it isn't. Yeah. So that concerns me a little, but it's not just not really what I do.
Have you ever considered, or have you ever been interested in acting? I know you did some voiceover stuff before.
Yeah, no, I've done some. I've done some acting. I filmed my first movie. Really? Yeah, I got a small part.
Tell me more.
I'm in Wonka that's coming up.
Really?
Yeah. The new Willy Wonka.
Oh
movie.
my gosh!
Yeah.
That's amazing. What did you play? What was it?
I can't give any.
No,
details.
You can't give any. I get that. Yeah.
But I'm in that movie. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
How was that? That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, just being on like a big movie set. Was incredible.
That's huge. I mean, what a way to start your acting career.
I know. And it annoys actors so much when comedians get roles, I think.
No, I mean, I know what you mean, but yeah, I think it's because essentially you are acting, right? When you're on stage, I mean, you're
in a
being
sense,
yourself.
you're a weirder version of yourself.
Exactly,
sure.
yeah.
And you're doing lines every day.
Exactly.
You know, but
Not those lines.
no, that was in the 90s. That's more the 90s thing. Yeah, it was really cool. It's just amazing to be part of an operation that big.
Yeah.
And I always think when I'm in a big set like that, or taking part in something that has a huge crew, I don't understand how, and not all actors are like this, and actually a minority of stars I think actually like this, but how have a small number of big stars become like self-obsessed,
Yeah.
or become egotistical.
Yeah.
Because when I'm in there, I'm so aware that I'm a tiny cog in this machine. Even if you're the star, I think you're still the tiny cog in the whole thing.
You are, yeah.
So I don't really. I'm always like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The most divish I get is I ask for a cup of tea because
It's so
I just need
divish.
tea. I just need tea.
Yeah.
I just need tea.
You just need constantly
I need a tea.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I always feel very lucky to be there.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked with a lot of actors as a director, but also as another actor, and it's like, same as you, it baffles me why people are so, I don't think, no one's born that way, right? So I think it's just the people around you, or you surround yourself, and also it's like you see other actors behaving that way, so you think it's okay to behave. So it's like a,
yeah.
It's yeah. I mean, I don't really like to. I don't really stand for it on set. Really, it's there's no hierarchy.
Do you rule with an iron fist?
A little bit, yeah.
you?
Yeah. It's more of an iron bar, but yeah.
I thought you were going to soften it. It's like more of an iron hug, an iron bar. Okay,
an iron hug. I love that.
Right.
So
if I'm on set, if I'm
one
of your
watch
actors,
out.
and I get too big for my boots.
Yeah.
Is it like
Outcomes
Phil
the
can
bar.
have a word? Is it that kind of thing? Or
Yeah, but as you're saying, Phil can have a word. I'm literally drawing the bar
out
out.
comes the bar.
Yeah. Yes, of course you can, Phil. What would you like to talk about? And he's just squeezing it harder and harder. Yeah. But it's lovely, it's a lovely atmosphere on set.
Yeah, sounds like it. Very cooperative.
Yeah. Everyone's petrified. Yeah. What's coming up? What have you got? Obviously, you're doing your tour.
I'm doing a tour, and then there's an autumn leg as well. Oh, the book. Yeah, that's my book, Side Splitter.
Yeah.
About being mixed race, and I try and be funny about it. So I'm doing this leg of the tour, then I'm touring again in autumn. A little autumn extension. I just filmed. I'm in an episode of the next series of Amy Schumer's show, Life and Beth. I was in the first series, 2 episodes, and I'm back for a little bit in the next series. So I've just been to New York to film that.
Do you work a lot in the States then?
More and more. I mean, last year I did a tour there, ending at the Netflix festival.
Yeah.
And I was interviewed by David Letterman
for
his
saw
Netflix
that,
show, which was wild. But that was my first day in LA in my life.
Amazing.
I'm interviewed by David Letterman.
How was that? Like, what was that?
I felt bad for him because he just in the last series of his interview show, he'd interviewed Barack Obama and Kanye West, and now he's interviewing me, a man he'd never heard of until today. When he got the brief?
Did you feel that? Like, what did he?
No, he was he was great. He was so cool. The maddest thing was, they said before we started recording, they were like, Letterman wants to meet everyone before the show. Okay, you got 5 minutes with Letterman, and we're one by one we're led down these corridors down to the basement of the theater, and we're getting closer and closer to his dressing room, and I can hear his voice coming through the walls, and then I enter his dressing room, and there he is, and goes, "Hi Phil, nice to meet you," or whatever, and hearing that voice coming out of the face in front of you, coming out of the human body in front of you, that was surreal. That was really weird. But he was cool. He was nice. He was very. Once he was on stage, he was a total. He was such a pro,
Professional,
and so interested in what you had to say, or at least good at appearing interested in what you had to say, and asking me questions, and just getting me to tell stories and do little bits, and that was surreal, and that was just one of those. From time to time in this work, you end up doing something like being interviewed by David Letterman in LA, and it is quite out of body.
That's what, like the highs that you were talking about before is one of those.
But again, I don't
moments.
consider that a high, because I was
Really?
just like, it was cool. It was
Yeah.
like, wow, look, imagine this. But it wasn't fun to be under. It's not fun to be under scrutiny.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
that's what comedy is. You're under scrutiny,
Yeah.
and you've elected to be under this very specific kind of scrutiny, and your job is to come out the other end shining.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's not fun. It's a relief afterwards. And it's exciting, exhilarating, but it's not fun. And you're not happy. I'm not happy doing it.
Right.
I mean,
Relieved afterwards.
Yeah, kind of. And so, you know, sat there talking to him, and these people in LA are laughing at things I'm saying, and it's going well. And I'm just like, okay, good. But just don't drop the plates. The plates are spinning. Don't drop the plates. There are no plate spinners going. This is fantastic. I feel so relaxed.
Yeah.
You know. Because you're trying not to break the plates,
Yeah.
because it's your job. But it was cool. This is cool. And actually, I said that to one of the other acts before we went on. He went, "This is cool." I was like, "Yeah, this is cool." Yeah, but we didn't go, "I'm really happy."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not what it is.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is cool. You know?
It's just one of those. It's a lifetime experience, isn't it? It's like.
Yeah.
Did you ever think, you know, when you were in college, doing your things, that you would be on Letterman?
I probably did. I was such a
Probably
little shit. I was such a little piece of shit. No, I think when you start out like that, that's what you have in mind.
Of course,
that's
yeah.
why you're doing it. Like,
Yeah.
God, maybe one day I'll be on a blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And you get to understand it better, and you get to understand the craft and enjoy it for its own sake. And you go, it doesn't matter if I end up on this. What matters is if I really apply myself and get good at this. That what matters is that I'm good at this, and what I make is good.
Yeah.
And then when you end up on those kind of things later on, you go, oh, this is cool. I'm glad.
Yeah.
But I don't think about it in those terms anymore. I think about it just like make stuff that's good. And as a rule, I try never to do anything that I wouldn't watch.
Yeah.
Which is a very tough rule, because I don't hardly watch anything except the news. So I'd go on the news.
Go on the news. Read the news.
I'd be on the news.
Yeah. Did you used to set yourself goals, and do you still set goals now? I think it's important to set goals.
I think you're right. I think I used to have goals. Is that something to say? Yeah. No, I do have goals. I've only ever set myself vague goals, though. I've always thought people who write down their goals and write down specific goals shouldn't do that, because you can't predict things well enough that you have to have vague goals. I think vague goal is good.
Yeah.
Get better at this. Write this kind of thing. Make this kind of thing. Get to this kind of place.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, yeah, I have goals, but I'm more than that. Just try and be present in what I'm making or doing at the moment.
Yeah.
Just try and make that as good as I can.
Do you ever go back to Cambridge and visit, and
I was there on tour and walked around town for a bit, but I don't like going back to places. I'm very much like scorched earth.
Yeah.
I think it comes from living in a different country and moving around a lot. Once you leave a place, it's done. It's over.
Yeah.
I don't really have a nostalgic impulse, and so once I'm out of a place, I'm like, I don't like going back to a place and realizing everyone's moved on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It makes you feel kind of.
Yeah.
It's kind of death. It makes you feel kind of dead.
Yeah.
But I've been back to Cambridge a couple of times, done a couple of shows there. From time to time, I get invited to do a debate at the union. They do these comedy debates,
Right.
where you're given a real motion, but then you have to be silly about it, and and that can be really fun.
That's cool. Yeah.
I haven't done that in a while. Yeah, I don't want to feel old, and I just turn up and I just be like, in my day, there wasn't even a foe here. Yeah. They've got so many East Asian restaurants now. The kids, they don't understand how good they have it.
Yeah.
In these university towns, they've got a pho, they got their ritzus, they got
Yeah.
Wagamamas. There's so much Asian food now. We had like one Hong Kong place, and we liked it. We had to make do with that. Now, God,
They don't know they're born.
They don't know they're born, man.
Yeah.
They got a banana tree in there. so lucky, these kids. And still they go on protests. I don't understand.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't understand. You've got a turtle bay right there and you're going on a protest. What's wrong with you?
Oh, God. What advice would you give anyone who's sort of wanting to get into the comedy scene and, you know?
Well, I mean, it doesn't look like anyone needs my advice. Everyone's getting into it. Like with TikTok now, everyone just
what do you make of all that? The sort of that TikTok, you know, Instagram sort of world.
I mean, some of it's really, really great, and I think it's interesting that that's what the sketch show is now. People try and make sketch shows for TV now, and they very good chance they don't make them at all.
Yeah.
And then if they do, it's very hard to get people to watch them because people are basically making sketch shows on their phones, and that's what people see. And it's perfect length. You know, the format is perfect for it because they're short. So I think the future of sketch shows is on your phone, probably. Probably. Yeah. And I'm much more happy about that than I am about the future of stand-up being on your phone. I think stand-up is about a longer engagement. Yeah. But I think the sketch stuff, and there's some people doing really, really funny stuff, really interesting stuff. I don't really vibe with the bits that are, and these are the bits that do the best, bits where there's something intentionally relatable about it so that you can tag your friend and go, this is just like you. You don't like that revel, you know, you don't like the coffee revels, whatever. Yeah. And I just go, I don't give a I don't care about your friends. Yeah. Yeah. I don't care what this is like. Yeah. I actually like the coffee revels. But it's interesting. It's still early days. TikTok is the one I won't get. Really? I always think of, because like I got Instagram only to like try it out, and once you're in, you can't get out. It's you know that fable, the Aesop's fable about, I think it's the monkey with the sweets in the jar, and he puts his hand into the jar to get the sweets out, but then his hand is stuck. Yeah. That's social media. Yeah. So now that's a really good analogy. I'm like, don't put your hand in the jar. Yeah. I know the sweets look nice, but don't put your hand in there because you can't get it out. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other thing, the politics that we won't go down, but like the Twitters and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I use Instagram, you know, for work stuff really, and just to be nosy. Well, you have to show people what you're doing. I mean, it's important. When you started off as you had to show people what you're doing socially, and for most people, that is what it is for, to show people that you're on holiday, that you're at a party, that you're at a dinner, that you're at a wedding, that you're living your best personal life. But then when your work is entertainment, you also have to show that you're living your best professional life. Yeah, and because everyone's always watching, so they have to show, I'm at this award show, I'm winning this award, I'm doing this show, I'm filming this TV thing, I'm at this festival, and blah, 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 blah. So we're the monkeys, and we put our hands in the jar. We've all put our hands in the jars, and we're all stuck, and we all have to do this little dance for each other now. Yeah. But that's just what it is. I'm just come to accept that's what you have to do, I think, really. Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, it's part of the job now, I think. Yeah. You can never rest. Every comedian now is simultaneously not just a comedian, but their own publicist, their own producer, their own, you know, their own PR, their own, because you're always having to do something just to remind people you're alive. Yeah. Because you're now, because of social media, you're in competition with not just other comedians, but everyone. Yeah. Everyone. Yeah. It's wild. What, you know, I think, was it Andy Warhol said in the future everyone will be famous for 15 minutes? I think he was right. I think he thought it was about TV. He thought he was talking about TV, but he was actually talking about TikTok. And it wasn't 15 minutes, it's 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Yeah. Yeah. So true, man. So true. So this is a question that I want to ask, and I'm going to ask everyone. What's your favorite rogue, unconventional film that you've watched? You know, something that's a bit out there, or a bit, you know, that you really enjoyed, which you probably shouldn't have done, but probably shouldn't have done in the sense that it's not technically a good film, or I mean, if you think it's a good film, but I mean, yeah, it's open, isn't it? You know, I mean, what's your favorite film? But my favorite, like, I feel like I've got a couple. Yeah. My favorite film that sort of few people I think should have seen it have seen is Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson. Yeah. You see that movie? Yeah. Where she plays like a weird alien in Glasgow. Yeah. It's a wild idea. Yeah. And it's one of the things like, why did she make that movie? I'm so astonished and so happy she said, she was like, yeah, I'll be a weird alien in Glasgow.
In Glasgow.
And they wound up picking up, they picked up real, so the whole thing is she's kind of this succubus alien who picks up men and is mysterious what she does with them, but maybe eats them or consumes them in some way.
Yeah.
And she's like driving around and she just goes to men on the street, you want to come in? You want to lift home? And they go, yeah, right. And a lot of those men are real normal men who can't believe their luck.
Yeah.
They're this beautiful woman, because she's beautiful still, but she's got dark wig on and she doesn't quite look like Scarlett Johansson. So these men are like, oh my God, this is beautiful. Yeah, okay, I'll do it. And it's so bold that they used some of those real men, and that those men went, yeah, okay, you can use me, because they must have signed something.
Yeah.
I think it's such a wild movie from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And so weird.
Yeah.
And it's such a mad idea. And I'm so glad someone had that idea. So I think that movie is really good. A movie that I think is really good that no one seems to talk about in that sense is Bad Lieutenant, Nicolas Cage.
I haven't seen it. I think
it's a remake of it's a remake of a normal movie called Bad Lieutenant maybe. And he's just so wild and Nicolas Cage in it, and it's so ridiculous, but I love it.
Which is that's not the one where he basically plays himself.
I think that's every movie.
Yeah.
I think that's all of his movies.
Yeah.
I mean, Nicolas Cage, I think, is a classic choice for guilty pleasure
For a rogue movie, yeah.
Yeah, for a rogue movie. Suicide Squad. So is it the first one?
Yeah.
Was the worst movie ever made in history, and then the second one, they called Suicide Squad. I was like, it's fantastic.
Right. Yeah.
I watched it on a plane. I was like, oh boy, here we go. And I was like, it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think they lost too much faith with the first one. I mean, there are a whole bunch of these.
Yeah.
All for different reasons. Yeah.
I love that you've got a list of them. It's great.
And as I was saying before I started recording, I watched all of Man vs. Bee.
Yes.
With Rowan Atkinson.
I saw the trailer for it.
Wild.
I didn't realize it was like eight minutes clips.
Chunks. They're trying to appeal to the short attention spans of the new world.
But it just continues on.
It just keeps going and going. And to be fair to them, at the end of each 8 episodes, you go, I do kind of want to know what happens to this bee. Okay, they got me.
Yeah.
They got me.
And what is it? Happy ending, dare I say?
Yeah, he wanks the bee off. He gets that bee good.
Oh, God. On that note.
I knew you wanted to end on the podcast's catchphrase.
Catchphrase.
He wanks the bee off.
Rowan Atkinson wanking off the bee. Oh, Phil, thank you so much, mate.
Oh, thanks for
It's
talking,
been an
Phil.
absolute pleasure, man.
Always a thrill to chat to Phil.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thanks, man.